make a move and the bunny gets it.
I said, put the bunny back in the box. Why couldn't you put the bunny back in the box?
Everything changed when war reached the Americas. Caught between the French and the British, my family paid the price. Only my darling Sarah survived. They took her away. We couldn't save them, but we will save her. 5 men against thousands, how can it be done? We are not merely men. War has brought out the beast in us all. And we will have our vengeance, for we are
the War Party. It's showtime.
Psychically, I'm very well endowed.
I want to know what you're thinking. There are some things you can't hide. I want to know what you're feeling. Tell me what's on your mind.
Hey there, this is Cooper from Telepathic Bunny Comics. Got a little bit of a snafu there. I actually created a opening crawl, but then didn't upload it. And hey, a little disorganized on that one. Anyway, I got a holdover from last week. Speaking of Hojo, now he accused I couldn't find the book. And so basically I had to, and 1 second. All right. Got a little bit of an echo here. Hold on a second. Just 1 second. There we go. All right. Sorry about that. Had more than one copy open. Not making a very good impression tonight, I have to say. Anyway, so this is the Tell Hojo. I do have it. Sorry, I misplaced it last week, but that's because I read it. Okay. Anyway, so ones that I read tend to gravitate. They tend to, go elsewhere. So, but I do have it. All right. That's a holdover from last week. just to let Hojo know that I do indeed have it. Anyway, not that he watches my show anyway. So unless his name's on the marquee, that tells you what kind of person he is. But anyway, I digress. This week I have one of my favorite creators from this space. All right, here we go. But he is creator and writer of a little yarn named War Party. And let me bring him on. Welcome to the Rabbit Hole, Professor Murph.
Hey, Cooper. It's good to be here, man.
Hey. Let me stop my cam. Let me see if that helps. My signal's dropped out for some reason. But anyway, so I've been a big fan of yours for a while now. And I just wanted to bring you on and talk about the War Party. Let me hold on a second. All right. I have to turn the camera back on for this. Okay. Well, I do have. Not only do I have War Party, but I did pick up this little ditty here.
Oh, Claiborne.
Yep.
That's going back 2008.
And
that was a while ago.
Yeah. Right. I also picked up this puppy right here. This one there.
Yeah, Holidays. That one didn't
Very
sell
clever.
quite as well as Claiborne did. It's hard to sell funny books.
Yeah. That is indeed true. The ones that do sell, though, they sell a lot. Like Bill Watterson sold a ton. You know.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah. If you have newspaper, if you have
back.
newspaper support, like if it was something that ran in newspaper strips and collected, then yeah, those sell really well. Peanuts, things like that.
Right.
I was kind of doing a mock imitation of that. You could probably tell in that book, and it was fun. It was a fun project, but they both sell to this day on Amazon and things like that. But I mean, Claiborne's probably sold, I don't know, 10,000 copies at this point over the years. So it's done pretty well.
Well, it is historical. I didn't know this man existed, but then I went and read up on him, and I was like, holy crap!
Yeah.
I don't know why we don't talk about this dude more. You know.
Well, you know why they
maybe
don't talk about him.
because it fits the narrative that all
Exactly.
Southerners were racist, you know, and
Yeah, they
I'm
don't.
racist or something.
It's not. Doesn't. I have another one. I'm going to do a follow-up companion story called Holt. It's about Holt Collier, who is a black Confederate cavalryman that actually rode with the Delta Rangers. He was one of the best shots in the Army. Pretty cool guy.
Yeah, there were actual divisions of black soldiers, and they were actually treated better than the Union Army treated their black soldiers.
Yeah, first.
Who were basically were cannon fodder, you know.
Yeah, yeah. It's a very complex subject. I mean, obviously not one we have to get into now, but it's a very complex. Everyone's got their own reasons for fighting that war. It's not just so cut and dry as the history books try to.
No,
make it.
It is not. It is not. You know, that's just one of those things that having historical perspective definitely helps with. When you see a lot of like historic ignorance now, you know, especially around the issue of slavery, and you know, also the relationship between the colonials and Indians comes up a lot. And you know, it gets really overblown, you know, the whole colonizer thing and things like that. But there's really a entirely different relationship there. What, you know, ruined everything. But it was not a peaceful place. It was not a. They were not singing "Kumbaya." They were.
No. Yeah, it was a lot of tribal warfare. Tribes taking other prisoners, slaves, you know, things like that. But yeah, I kind of show that in War Party. I mean, you can see it's a wild frontier out there, everybody's allegiances are divided. There's no one side, you know, everyone's kind of all over the place.
Oh yeah, definitely. Speaking of War Party, what I do is when I bring on creators who I respect and whose work I enjoy, I tend to go back and I do a reevaluation, and so I have my baseline. My low end is Snowman, and my high end is Shadowpunk. Okay. So Shadowpunk being the best book I've read in recent years. Matt, why don't you still have it available? What's wrong with you? Anyway, I have to rant at him every show. Get a store, make a store, print some copies. Anyway, but this one right here, this right here, this is War Party 1. And one thing I would say about you is, man, you do a cover. You really do a cover. That's the journal there, but this one got this one on 5. But that's one concept you have down very solidly. Is you do know how to do a cover image. These are floppies, but you released the first 4 together. And so the first 4 kind of was its own arc. And so the way I'm going to evaluate it is the first 4 and then number 5. And I don't have 6 yet. I'm sure I'll have 6 soon. You know.
Yeah, still finishing it up.
Right.
It's a 48 pages,
there you go.
so it's almost 2 issues, really.
Right. So I'm definitely going to be patient. That was basically a graphic novel, so I'm definitely waiting on that one. I basically I'm going to evaluate because I noticed that the first 4 they kind of came out together and they were very distinctive, like one entire like entity on its own, and then there's 5, and so I'm going to evaluate the first 4 and then go evaluate the 5. And the first 4, the story starts with the French kind of came and helped us out in the Revolutionary War, but that doesn't make the French the good guys. So
yeah, I mean during
matter of fact, the only reason they helped us Revolutionary War was to. Yeah, go ahead.
Right, yeah, their navy, yeah. But during the 7 Years' War, most of the colonials sided with the British. So there was kind of a flip that happened.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, the first 4, with the James's wife being, murdered. It's in your images, so I'm not like spoiling anything. And this little girl gets kidnapped, and it starts the whole thing. That's the impetus for the whole thing. And they go and basically the British refuse to help them with it, and so they're on their own. And a Indian lady shows up, a mysterious Indian lady named Diani, who's all over your images and everything, also my thumbnail. And she agrees to help. Yeah, there you go. Deanna's War Diary. Yeah, she's kind of a big deal. Yeah. Look at that. Actually, let me play the trailer for the War Diary, for her Deanna's diary. Let me find it right quick. Oh, there we go. All right, watch this.
What possesses us to give ourselves completely, even risking death in order to save another? This war will be costly, and we face enemies on all sides. It seems this young nation, forged by the colonials, has met an early end. Though I hold many Americans in high regard, their rulers have proved to be little better than the English. I thought them to be dead. I thought they had returned to the realm that gave them their dark magic. But they are here, and they are here for me. I can sense it. They wanted to break me. It seems the inventors of this age have harnessed their own form of magic. It is called electricity, and it can light up a room without the use of fire. Motor cars have also appeared. It has been called the Mothers of Darkness Castle. I cannot speak of the horrors committed here, nor can I even write on how I found myself inside its closed. There is a murderer on the loose. They call him the 44 caliber killer. People are scared, angry, and directionless. I see them in the nightclubs. Damn, this place is evil. I can feel it. Many children have disappeared in the country over the past 3 decades. How many ended up here? How many were offered up to unseen forces? Presenting Diani's War Diary, a beautiful hardback edition to add to your War Party collection. It's 40 pages of original art with an embossed cover and gold foil stamping. Inside lie the secrets that I have kept throughout the centuries. Secrets of my power and the mysteries of this world. Understand the events that unfolded through my eyes. The Spanish quest for the Fountain of Youth, the wars between the French and the English, the new American nation, a tragic civil war, and the birth of a new century, and beyond. This is America's story. This is my story. This is Diani's War Diary.
Everything changed when war reached the Americas. Caught between the French and the British, my family paid the price. Only my darling Sarah survived. They took her away. We couldn't save them, but we will save her. 5 men against thousands, how can it be done? We are not merely men. War has brought out the beast in us all. And we will have our vengeance, for we are
The War Party.
Yeah, I'm building quite a universe. It's a lot of fun.
Get unmuted.
There you go.
Yeah, there we go. Unmuted. All right. Yeah. You got a lot of world building going on. She obviously has immortality form. We're not really, she obviously has a lot of power. And she is very shapely. Very shapely. Yeah.
Well, it was legendary in the writings of colonials and British specifically how beautiful they thought a lot of the Native American women were. Many of them took them for wives, and it was very common.
There you go. There you go. What is it? Pocahontas? Yeah, Pocahontas is a real person. So she got around. Anyway, all the way back to England. So she must not have been that hideous. So I'll just say that much. Anyway, but that's before this time. But
yeah. Well, she actually overlaps.
Yeah. So the. Oh really? Oh okay. Yeah. Okay.
There's a you must not have the War Diary, but there's actually a point in here before the story arc you're on now, where she's she's younger, but it's 1608, and we all know what happened in 1607. The Jamestown colony was formed, and John Smith actually made his way northwest, to the Ohio Valley where Diani would have been. So I actually she mentions Pocahontas in this, and I actually have a shot where you see her sitting on the water, and that's John Smith's reflection. He's standing behind her. He found her. So it's kind of like Pocahontas 2.0 there.
Ah, right.
What's up, Shadowpunk?
Okay. Gotcha. Wow, there you go. And John Smith was quite the hound. We would just say that much. Anyway, let me see. Let me check his comments over here right quick. Oh, okay. There you go. Speak the devil, he shall appear. Check my earlier rant. There you go. All right. Anyway, all right. So here we are, War Party. Rampart Press, also on the Indiegogo, which is pinned in the chat, and so basically the first four. Let me give a rating for the first four. Now, this is out of 6, with 3 being average, 4 being above average, 5 being great, and 6 being legendary. And I would say for the first 4, I'll get this rating here.
That's good. A carrot a book.
All right. The reason why I kept it at 4 was because it just wasn't complete enough an arc for me to really, I felt like it didn't have the loop wasn't closed enough for me to give it any higher. The plot was there, the art was definitely there. You are a gorehound, very good at that. Gianni was there, but the animal transformations were really brilliant. You obviously have seen American Werewolf in London more than once.
Love all those old werewolf movies.
There you go. But basically, it's awesome story. But I'd say when you hit 5 was when I felt like you really hit a stride, and so 5 winds up being as cliche as it sounds.
Nice. Well, at this rate, 6 will be 6 carrots, maybe. So wait a minute, you telling me you have not read Zero?
No, I haven't read Zero. I didn't. Actually, I did read Zero. Yes, I did read Zero.
Yeah, this is the one that was in black and white. It was about
actually,
Diane's.
I must have missed that one.
Yeah, this is the one that's about Diane's history when she. It's actually when Ponce de Leon lands, and she grew up in Florida. He lands in St. Augustine looking for the Fountain of Youth, and I won't go any further than that. It also introduces the 2 main villains who are not featured in this story arc, but will be a reoccurring antagonist throughout all the different time periods. And they're mentioned in the War Diary. But yeah, definitely you need to check out Zero.
Yeah, I do need to get a hold of Zero. I don't have that one. I don't have the War Diary either. I need to grab a hold of that one. Evidently, I am a completionist. I mean, I have Holidays and Clyburn, so I definitely need to get a hold of those. But yeah, but I say every series that I've gotten on this channel, I've wound up the series. I mean, individual book wise, I've only given one a 6. That would be Shadowpunk, the aforementioned, and. But for series-wise, all these series that I bring on here are wind up being... So...
Yeah, I love floppies. I like them because they're a quick read. You don't have to sit down and commit to a 200 or 300 page graphic novel, with a bookmark and all that. There's nothing wrong with graphic novels. Obviously, I did one. Clayburn was over 200 pages. But they're almost like potato chips, Like I'm just going to eat a few, and before you know it, you're on to the issue 2. And and I like the covers too. You mentioned the covers. The thing I don't like about graphic novels is you only get one cover. unless you do a variant. But with floppies, every cover
Right.
can kind of highlight
Right.
what happens.
Well,
in that issue.
I can see a collected. I can see the collected edition.
Yeah, there
you
will
go.
be.
There you
Actually,
go.
I'm
I
already
could definitely
taking
see a
pre-orders
collected
for that.
edition. Being
Yeah, trade paperback. Yeah, I'm gonna do that on the
Oh,
next
okay.
campaign.
Yeah,
yeah,
I
but
need to get
I
on
did
that.
allow some of the backers to pre-order it. There's also the
okay.
bestiary.
Cool.
And what's cool about this,
Well, you know,
it's kind of like the handbook, but it has a lot more insight into the villains and these other characters I told you about. And what's cool is in the back,
all right.
there's a test you can take with this QR code. You could take this test in the back and find out what your totem shape-shifting animal is. So if Diane were to transform you based on your personality test, it'll tell you what animal you would be.
Yeah. Well, I would take it, but I've already got mine, so I'm not worried about it.
But yeah, well, there's a rabbit in here.
I know. Anyway, it's kind of my alternative right at this point. Well, one thing about history that is, I think a lot as a storytelling medium, but I think because the focus seems to have become on the permanent now, and everything has to be present day, everything has to be for the modern audience, right? That we've lost a lot of the possibilities when storytelling, where you could tell a story that crossed generations, that crossed decades, that crossed, stories had scope, stories had distance, they had, linear time involved, and that seems to be a trick that has been lost to a lot of modern storytelling. Would you agree with that?
Oh, totally. Yeah, the whole hero's journey, and I mean, whenever you tell historical stories, even though this is historic fiction with fantasy mixed in, you still have to be true to the time period. You have to be true to the attitudes, beliefs, lingo, as best you can, and not try to pigeonhole it into a modern day sensibility about, well, this is how people would think, this is what people would say, this is how women would behave, this is how men would behave. It's another world. It's a totally different universe from what we live in, especially the further back you go. And you have to go back and do your research and get rid of all of this modern day mentality, 2024, all that has to go.
Yeah, it's you can't be a lazy writer. I think that's part of its laziness, the not having to do research because you just write about what's right outside your door every day, and the people that you know. And we see a lot of that where modern females get shoved back into historical fiction, and it just doesn't work. Right, exactly.
Well, that's Netflix.
I like to see trans heroes during. Well, yeah, just check Netflix. Just check. Just check. No, Hulk is not trans. He is not trans. That's not what that means. Anyway, he's transformative, but he's not trans. Okay. Anyway, WEF Patsy always throws me curveballs. Yeah, you have to get used to it. Well, one thing that I think is really fascinating about when you see modern interpretations of historical times, and they get it wrong, is because there's a disdain, this poorly disguised disdain for the way women were back then, and they're perceived as being weaker somehow, or not as accomplished, independent, and it's like outside of the political context, women are kind of like denigrated or devalued, and the truth of the matter is women were stronger back then. They had more like sway over the house, and they
Well, everyone was stronger back then.
You know, everybody was stronger back then, right? You don't tell me that somebody that has like 8 kids in natural childbirth is weak.
In the middle of the wilderness.
You going to tell me that?
With no doctor.
No. Right, exactly.
Dodging arrows around the cabin, you know, firing the musket out the window, popping another one out.
yeah, that right, yeah, that just sounds like a weak female to me. I don't know. It's just it blows my mind. It blows my mind.
Well, that's why in the opening, the
it's
first
like the whole,
issue, I was going to say how, you know, when you talk about how they get killed and the little girl gets abducted, I mean, the mother does everything she can to make sure the girl gets away, even stalling her pursuers and dying in the process. You know, so it's you know, they'll give their life for their children. That's what this whole thing's about. I mean, the whole thing is about what will a father do to get his child back.
Right.
That's really, it's not about monsters and magic. That's just the
no.
You know, it's about what will a parent do, what lengths will you go, what will you give up to save your child.
Right. These are not 3 good examples, WEF. I'm gonna have to flag these. Yeah, these are not good examples.
You left out Salome.
At all.
Salome.
Yeah, I'm gonna flag those. Right. Anyway, so I mean, when you got Esther or somebody like that, you know, I mean, come on now. Anyway, but you know, I one thing about you know, writing historical figures, and I do a lot of that. You know, I've got characters that live generations. You know, I've got a form of immortality in my world, and writing those characters in modern day is kind of like it's really, to be honest, it's a challenge to not like to bring them to modern day, but not make them modern day. You know what I'm saying? And I'm sure you're going to have this issue with you write Diani in the modern age. But
yeah,
they have, you know, you have to let time pass, and they have to be like all altered by the things around them. But there's a core value system that they had back then that they don't have now.
Yeah, and hers is very pure and basic. It's her greatest instinct is, well, her totem is the deer, but her greatest instinct, she's called in the bestiary, her personality type is basically called I think she's, what is she? Yeah, she's the interceder, which is the follower of the savior path. So those are people that are caring and giving. Her greatest attribute is she's a nurturer. She's a protector. Not something you really see promoted much in female characters in popular culture today. But that is why she stops what she's doing and helps. Like wherever she is, she'll form a war party to solve a problem, save a child, save an individual, whatever she has to do. And that's her greatest strength. She's not, I mean, yes, she's skilled with a bow and she can fight, of course, and she knows how to use a gun and all that, but she's not a girl boss or anything like that at all. She's actually, and she has struggles because she's only ever loved one man, and you know, and I'm sure you saw in issue 4 where that led, and of course, you know, I don't want to give too much away, but because she's supposed to protect her basically her purity, because her power emanates from the purity of her blood and her chastity, she pays a price for that for a long time, and has to find a way to sort of regenerate that power and restore her purity. And so she's that type of character. And what's great about that is I can put all the violence and the action around her with the monsters she creates, but she can remain that nurturing, protecting character.
Well, I think it's amazing that these people that kind of denigrate that nurturing protectiveness are the same people that cite Ripley as a girl boss.
Oh, no.
Why
Really?
do you think Ripley's a girl boss? Does it have anything to do with the fact that she goes down in the freaking nest with the
right?
After,
well, see,
after
I think
Newt?
that term has been misunderstood.
Why did she do that? Did she do that to be a girl boss? No, she did that because she's a mother, protective mother protection.
Yeah, girl boss doesn't
it's like mama
mean,
against mama, you know.
Girl boss doesn't mean a character that's strong. Girl boss is basically a character that doesn't have any weaknesses, doesn't have any vices, doesn't grow, can do everything perfectly. I mean, I wouldn't want to see a male character like that either. It's boring. So it has nothing to do with gender. It has to do with just making a character flawless. And even though Diane lives a long time and, you know, ages very slowly, she can be killed. She's not any stronger than the average human being. She makes mistakes. She has weaknesses and desires that can't be fulfilled, you know, and you know, she's a human being. She's not. So yeah, I know what you're saying, but yeah, Ripley, she's a lot like Ripley that way because Ripley's a nurturer. What I loved about the second Aliens is the fact that she lost her daughter. They kind of trimmed that out in the edited version, but she supposedly outlived her daughter.
They did,
when she was floating around in space. And so Newt became her surrogate daughter, and so it made sense that she would cling to this child because it reminded her of her child.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so that's.
And you know, and the mama bear, it's the best demonstration of mama bear energy in movie history, I think. Get away from her, you bitch! Whoa.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that because right here. Right there, I actually built that.
Yeah.
It's a Aliens. I got all the NECA figures. There's the Queen. There's Ripley. The Marines are behind her. I painted the background and lit it.
Oh yeah.
And installed it on the wall. Yeah. So that's actually one of my favorite films. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. I could definitely see that. No, that would be a no. Taylor Swift is not a girl boss, okay? And yeah, well, that is freaking cool, right? WAF is cool, and so is Wookie. Speaking of Wookie, let me bring on my erstwhile co-host from time to time. Welcome to the show, Mr. Wookie. Oh, you there, dude?
It helps to not be muted. I did that.
Yeah, it does. It does help. It does help indeed.
No, I just wanted to say that display
anyway,
in the background of
Professor Murph, this is my
awesome.
Yeah.
Are we on a time delay?
He's a big toy fanatic. So. He actually.
Okay. Wow. Okay. Yeah, that stuff that background is awesome, and you did that all yourself.
Yeah, I painted it, and I even did the flooring and everything, and built the box that it comes in. But these are all the NECA figures. You got you got Hicks back there. You got Vasquez. You got Hudson, of course, right there. You got Ripley with Newt. They even gave me Casey. Where's Casey? There's Casey. on the ground right there.
Game over, man.
Yeah.
Game over.
So,
game over.
What a great line in that movie.
Yeah, there it is.
Bill Paxton. What a great guy.
Yeah, he'll be missed.
Yeah,
he is missed.
Yeah. No, those are great figures, man. Good job on that display back there.
Yeah, thanks.
That's awesome.
Definitely. He also had a Diani figure. Do you have any of those handy?
Yeah, she's over here. Hold on. I have to take my mic off.
Yeah, you got to see this thing. It is so like detailed. He only sold like I think 12 of these, but the detail on them is just like jaw dropping.
Yeah, these are pretty cool. They're kind of like Barbie dolls. I mean, Barbie doll scale.
Yeah.
But and I only did 10 of them, and they
10.
were 275 a piece. They sold out in 48 hours.
Wow.
Yeah. Whoops. And there goes the head. Yeah. But all of her, yeah, she gets decapitated in future issues. But no. All of her, accoutrements. This is all like hand stitched and everything. You got the beads back there. You know, it's just a collectible.
That's cool.
The tomahawks, even it's real steel.
Fully articulated and decapitatable. Nice.
Yes, so she can cut her own head off right here.
Sweet. That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's fun. Yeah, if you can't manufacture, obviously you can't do toys if unless you do limited edition type handmade stuff and charge a lot for it. I mean, obviously, if you're gonna do a whole like mass produce them, you're talking $500,000, and that's
no kidding. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Oh, awesome job. Awesome work.
That is so awesome. Yeah, he wants to know, they're collector's items, WE Patsy. He only sold 10 of them. Obviously kept one for himself.
There's a wolf. There's a wolf figure that's on my site. I think I sold half of those, but he's over here. Hold on, I can get him for you too.
Oh, okay. Yeah. In case you guys are wondering, Professor Murph is awesome. Yeah.
Now, he's not finished yet. I still got to do his hands, but he's covered in real fur.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Yeah. And,
I love the teeth.
Yeah, and he's fully articulated as well.
Nice.
The feet are done. I still got to put more hair on him, so that's why he's, but all the hair is glued on. I mean, I guess you could call them action figures because they are posable. But I mean, they're really obviously not meant. They're meant for display. But you can pose them however you want. Now, normally he's 1/12 scale. She's 1/6 scale.
Okay.
Normally, they're not 1 for 1. In other words, he would be twice her height in the comic book because these things get to about 12 feet tall.
Okay.
So, but I couldn't find a figure that big. Maybe they make them, but because what I do is I order these basic. They're just basically like neutral bodies, muscular bodies, and then you put the head on whatever you want the head to be. You design the feet and the hands, and so this was just like a muscle man body, and then I glued all the hair on it and sculpted that and hand painted all of this. I even put glaze on the teeth and the tongue so you can see, so it looks wet.
I like the eye. I can see that eyeball. It's pretty cool. I like that.
Very cool.
That's nice.
But he's
nice.
a little more than her. I think he's $375, so he's not cheap. I've sold 5 of them, which ain't bad.
Good.
So.
No.
Good stuff usually is not cheap.
No, it is not. Okay. The reason why we were a little late tonight was Professor Murph was working on a trailer that no one's ever seen before. This is going to be exclusive to this show, so people are going to regret not watching tonight.
Yeah, I haven't even put it on Twitter yet.
I didn't put it on Twitter yet, no.
Now, you asked me why would I make a new trailer when I already have a trailer and the book's been out for almost 4 years, but I'm wrapping up issue 6 now. They get stale. Trailers can get stale, I feel, and when you create the trailer when you're first launching, you don't have all your art, so you have to limit the art you can put in it. And I have so much more art now, so much more story, so much more perspective. So I was like, it's time for a new trailer. It's time for a fresh trailer. I'm only I'm less than $7,000 away from 100K on this campaign, and this is my first comic book campaign I've ever done on Indiegogo. I've done other things on Indiegogo, but not comics. And I don't have. I say this to encourage other creators. I only have 1,400 followers on Twitter. I only have less than 2,000 followers on Instagram, and I have less than 700 subscribers on YouTube, and yet my campaign is going to hit 6 figures very soon.
There you go.
So it can be done, but you got to hustle.
Oh yeah. Well, basically, you're one of the success stories that people point to because when you first came out, your campaign wasn't moving the way that you felt like it should, and so you went and reevaluated and you like relaunched it, and it's like the second time through you figured out the angle you needed to take, and it just took off. And so I always mention that to people that if your trailer doesn't immediately or your campaign doesn't immediately fly, that there's nothing wrong with going back and refocusing it and trying to hone in on what's going to work.
Yeah, and you need to go on every show that'll have you.
1 second.
No matter how big or how small, go on every single channel that will have you. I went on shows where I made $4,000 in one night, and I went on shows where I only got one backer. It didn't matter. You just have to get out there. Now, I will say this: you've got to have a product people want. All the promotion in the world isn't going to matter if your book isn't clicking with the audience. Like if it's not something they want, if the art isn't up to snuff or what they're looking for. There's a lot of books out there sometimes I feel with weird titles where the title just isn't, I don't think is a good title, honestly. Like you need something that grabs people. And it doesn't hurt to have werewolves and sexy ladies. that helps. So
yeah, no, that's not a deterrent.
No.
A detraction at all. No. Yeah. You got it.
There's a reason I use that image for the thumbnail. Okay.
I know, right? I like the placement of that.
Just saying.
It's a good thing there's
Just
just
saying.
3 of us on here. We have a complete line of sight on that there.
That's she is my idea of ideal beauty.
Well, if we got rid of you, we'd be able to see more of this. Yeah, that's a lot of there. Jack, question is, how do you decide which characters you make? Are they all your original concepts?
Well, I decided what the characters are based on what the story demands. So, for example, this was, the French and Indian War. So I thought, if I'm going to have a war party, I don't want them all to be related. I want some guys in there that are kind of shady. Maybe they're kind of outsiders. So I had 3 of the characters were brothers, the lead guy and his 2 other brothers, the bear and the eagle. And then I threw 2 other misfits in there. One of them is basically a scoundrel in the British Army that was sleeping around with his commander's wife, and she's a major character in the story. And I mean, he was slated he was going to be executed, for all sorts of infractions. And then the other one, his friend, was this Frenchman who couldn't barely speak English, and he was a French soldier who was a mercenary who had switched sides multiple times and had been caught for it. So it was like he was going where the money was, and so you have 2 sort of shady characters, and of course, I had to make the scoundrel a gator, He's got to be a reptile, and then I made the Frenchman a jaguar because I live in Jacksonville. You got to have a gator and you got to have a jaguar. I live in North Florida, so
there you go. There you go.
Nothing wrong with that.
It's a fun group. There's a little bit of opportunity for banter there, between them. The guy who's a bear is very religious and thinks that all this stuff, this pagan stuff, is going to send him to hell, and he doesn't want to do it at first. He does not want to take on the mantle of the bear, and and he doesn't trust the scoundrel guy because he says he's not a moral man, and these are things you can do with characters. This is what makes characters interesting. It's these subplots or these sort of personality conflicts that have really nothing to do with the bigger story. But that's what makes the characters stand out and makes them interesting to the reader.
Oh, absolutely. Character flaws and the way you interact with using, way those flaws and those strengths interact with one another. It's just, that's the beauty that you find in like team up books that you don't find in solo books. And that's why I kind of gravitate towards team up books myself. So let's play this trailer right quick. Here we go. Let's add to the stage.
Cool.
Okay.
Alrighty.
Let me.
That's a better shot of that action figure.
There we go. Let me know if you're not. You should be getting sound when I play this, but if for some reason you don't get sound, let me know.
All right. Yep, we got it.
This war will be costly, and we face enemies on all sides. But I will not rest until the child is free.
All traitors to the crown should be executed.
Fine, Sarah. Never give up the hunt.
The hunt will go on, but not without you.
You would have killed me, as my daughter is sold into slavery!
Let our loyalty be only to each other. We will be a tribe, a brotherhood, a war party.
5 men against thousands, how can it be done? We are not merely men. War has brought out the beast in us all. And we will have our vengeance, for we are
the war party.
All right, so a lot more action.
Yeah.
A lot more action in that one.
Very,
where are
very
that?
nice.
Yeah, where are that girl's organs? Where are that girl's organs? You know.
Organs.
Anyway.
Organs.
That's a comment. That's a kind of what they used to say. Look, no woman can bend that way. You know. It is what it is. Yeah. Yeah. So anyway,
gymnast can.
There you go. There you go. Anyway,
a gymnast can.
Yeah, I have.
Buddy.
A couple of weeks ago, I had like Perfect 10 on, and if you've ever seen her, I mean,
yeah, that's some great art.
The gravitational pull of the ass was immense.
Yeah.
I kept saying. It's weird. It's like suddenly I started saying "but" every other sentence.
Yeah.
And I kept saying it over and over again. I go back and watch it. It's amazing. I counted like 28 times I said "but." And I couldn't get off of that word for some reason. Not having that trouble tonight, but you know.
Yeah, I love Dave Brain's art.
Pal Rodriguez is a genius. He really is. Well, one thing about all these great female characters, you know, even Shadowpunk's got a character named Mira, and she's a young girl. There's nothing really sexy about her, but she's got this little girlness about her that, like, it's this spunkiness, this like innocence that she maintains. You know, she's in this god awful environment, and she puts on these cheap little sunglasses and wears those around. You know, she's got this little bit of air about her that's just makes her so damn compelling. Which, you know, when he puts her through hell, it kind of sucks. You know, I just have to say. But you know, that's what you do. That's what you do. You know, we're all a little bit sadistic. You know, to be honest.
Well, and what's funny is I wasn't originally, when I wrote the original synopsis when I first started. Even when I got on issue 2, Diane was just supposed to be a supporting character originally. The main characters were the brothers, the war party itself, but I started realizing, listening to the audience, honestly, that people were fascinated with her as well, and I saw her as a vehicle to then be able to take this, you know, beyond just the French and Indian War, because the next series I'm doing next year is actually 1977 in New York during the blackout. When Manhattan went dark for 2 days. A lot of people know this, but in the 77, Manhattan, the power completely went out, and all of Manhattan went dark. And there was mass looting and crime, and the son of Sam, Berkowitz, still hadn't been caught. So
I think I remember that. I was 8 years old when that happened.
Oh, really? So you were living there?
Yeah.
Oh, wow, that's pretty wild.
Yeah, I think I remember hearing that on the news, that the power, the place was, it was nuts. It went nuts.
Yeah. As nuts as, I mean, for New York, right? Yeah, so that's when it takes place. And of course, there's a much bigger story than just Berkowitz. I've got this whole. I kind of followed the whole cult conspiracy that he'd been pushing for years, and it doesn't matter if it's true or not. I'm making it true in my story. So this cult called the 22 Disciples of Hell that would meet in Untermeyer Park in Yonkers, and I mean they have pictures of it. There's like pentagrams and there's like an altar and everything, and they would find all sorts of dead, always German shepherds for some reason. German shepherds shot in the head. And according to Berkowitz, I know we're getting off topic as far as, but this is still history. According to Berkowitz, he wasn't the only one doing the killings. And there was a white van that would follow him around and make snuff films of the murders. So they would have a cameraman in the vehicle recording the murders as they happen. And of course, you know, some high roller is paying a lot of money for these snuff films. And so what I'm doing in that story is this ancient evil, the Baphomet, which feeds off the blood of children and fear, the fear in the city that's being generated by the blackout, by the murders, by the cult. Diane realizes that that fear that's being generated is going to they're trying to bring the Baphomet back that she had defeated a century earlier. And so that's the main bad guys that keep sort of following her through history that want to come back. So she forms another war party to stop them in 1970s New York. So we're literally jumping 200 years in the future, which will be cool. It'll be a totally different scenario.
Awesome. Looking forward to that. Anyway, so that's the reason why I wanted to bring people on that who are this show's about what's next. It's not about what is happening. I mean, it's like what has happened or what is currently considered mainstream. I think the mainstream's going away. I think it's committing suicide. It's emulating itself. It's doing things that are going too far in a direction they can't come back from. You know, the DEI cancer that is just a fatal disease because the very people that should be able to course correct can't course correct because they're hires too, you know, and it's all incestuous. It's all like just basically a recipe for disaster, and I don't see it returning from that.
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, everything has to make money eventually.
Yeah.
And yeah, I know a lot of the studios are being funded by outside sources that don't really have anything to do with commerce. But at the same time, you still, especially a public company, you have to start showing profits on what you're producing. I don't think the mainstream will go away. I just think it's fracturing into like boutique markets. So you know, like it used to be, there'd be a handful of TV shows that everyone watched. You remember that back in the 80s and 90s. You'd go to work and everyone was watching these 4 or 5 shows. It's not like that today. I talk to people and they're like, this person's watching Yellowstone and this person's watching Breaking Bad and this person's watching The Mandalorian, and they're not overlapping a lot of times. And so, it's a good thing because for smaller creators like us, we don't have to mass market to everybody. We just have to find that niche audience, just like those shows do, and cater to that audience. The downside is it's very hard to have that one big hit like a Harry Potter or something, or a Game of Thrones that almost everyone watched, or Walking Dead. Those things there are some things that sort of seem to be mainstream, but most of the shows, even the hit shows on TV, they have smaller audiences broken up, you know.
Right. Well, one thing about that why I try to highlight these unsung creators, the ones that maybe aren't household names, you know, or you know, don't have their name on a mainstream book or never even sniffed the mainstream. You know, and I don't highlight those guys as much as because, you know, they basically, they could take a dump in a box and get 6 figures, you know, because of the, you know, the fetish, the art fetishists and the people who are loved Marvel and DC, and they've like taken their affection for those two and put them on to these guys that are no longer considered mainstream, but used to work in the mainstream, and not that
And they
they
have the
didn't earn
benefit
it,
of a
but,
large
you know,
audience. I mean, it's a benefit
the
of a
people
large
that I'm
audience.
really
Right.
they do they do
Right. Right.
yeah, and but the guys that I'm intrigued by, the guys that I want to push, the guys that I want to make household names are the ones that have completely outside of the process, or completely outside of the machine, and they're coming from a place that, you know, all by themselves, you know, in a room by, you know, with nobody else, no input or whatever, they came up with something. And I there's something more pure to me than, you know, about that. And I've seen some IPs come out of that that are just astounding. War Party being one of them. I can very easily see this becoming, you know, a Netflix series or something like that, because it's got all the elements. You know, it's got the historical drama. It's got the attractive female, you know, who does have like an action bent to her. You know.
Well, it's funny because you're right. It does kind of check those. I don't want to say the DEI boxes.
Right. Right.
But what's funny is that's because it's not because I created it that way to fit. Like,
right.
Oh, I've got to have a minority woman.
It's completely organic. It's completely organic.
Right, the story called for it, and that's why it doesn't feel contrived. Like, it feels necessary, and it works.
Well, so that's the real problem with this is that all this stuff would have happened organically anyway. You know, diversity would have happened anyway if you left it alone.
It was happening ever since the 60s and 70s in Hollywood.
Yes.
It was nothing new.
I was watching an episode of Mannix with my grandfather, and his secretary was a black lady. And a very good character, an extraordinarily good character. She was the heart of that show. And that was back in, you know, late 60s, 70s, maybe mid 70s. And so, I mean, it's not like we didn't have diversity. It's just that they've kind of like retconned everything. And, but I honestly, I think that this, I think that War Party is just a great IP, deserves your attention, deserves your time, deserves your backing. And, I think you're going some places. I think you're part of what's next. And
thanks.
So thanks for coming on the show, Mr. Murphy. Thanks for debuting the trailer. Check that trailer out. Where would we be able to see that trailer? Are you gonna?
I'm gonna update the campaign with it.
Okay.
And I'm also gonna put it on Twitter, and I mean it'll be everywhere. This is the first time I ever showed it, so.
Awesome.
You know.
Awesome. Just keep your eyes up for that. So thank you coming on. Thank you, Wookie, for hanging out with us for a little bit.
Oh yeah, hey, yeah, no problem. Nice meeting you.
You too, man.
I love your drawings.
Appreciate it.
And your
anyway, thank you for Fluffy.
If you love my
for showing up at the rabbit hole.
If you like my drawings, I had worked with John Malin on Godlike, and he had me do the story in his supplemental, and it's funny because it's a Western. So I guess he saw my horses, and he said, I need to hire that guy. But it's zombie, like monster Westerns, but I will be doing part 2. He just launched a campaign for part 2, and I will be doing that as well. So War Party has helped me also get my name out there as an artist, and other creators now have been approaching me about, you know, doing some work when I have the time, obviously, which is rare. But I enjoyed working on that story for John, and I'm going to do another one for his next campaign. I think he's in Baltimore Comic-Con right now, so he's up there this weekend.
Right.
But that's an example of a smaller creator and a larger creator collaborating, overlapping, working together. It's not an either or. It's not a them versus us.
Not.
It's honestly, without the larger creators, I wouldn't be knocking on the door of $100,000, to be honest with you.
Absolutely.
I mean, I think it was Rage Golden Eagle. Yeah, when I went on Rage Golden Eagle's show, I made $4,000 in one night. It was amazing.
Wow.
Like, yeah, I think that was
Yeah,
the most I ever pulled
he's
in.
got primarily an anime crowd too.
Yeah.
So there's definitely
We streamed.
something
He
there.
had me on his show for 4.5 hours, so I pulled in $1,000 an hour. But I mean, we
Wow.
talked about everything. We talked about pop culture and politics. He's actually a fascinating guy to talk to.
Yeah,
and of course, Bancroft has been like, Bancroft is the best promoter.
Oh yeah.
Of everyone, but especially small creators. Michael Bancroft has been a
Bancroft
godsend.
is the biggest channel for small creators in the space. He really is.
And he's done so much to help me to promote War Party. He's probably had me on 4 times over the years, and he's a great guy. And I mean, there's a lot of great people in this space.
I had him on the channel like 2 weeks back, and because the Lucent is just what a genius.
Yeah.
What a genius.
So like I say, I'm not here to say, well, I'm hitting 100K. I'm not tooting my own horn. What I'm saying is, without these people, I wouldn't have broken $10,000 probably. Maybe 15. I think when my campaign closed, it was around 14 something, which is not. I mean, it's nothing. That's nothing to be ashamed of. 14. If your campaign brings in 14, that's great. But would you have asked me in 2020, this campaign is going to be approaching $100,000? I said, you're crazy. I said, I'll be lucky if I hit 30,000. I will consider that a massive success. So the fact that I don't, I know how I got here, but I don't know how I got here, if you know what I mean.
Right.
But it shows you what's possible. I mean, if you can make $100,000 on a campaign with almost no social media footprint.
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen it with like Eric July and Ethan and people, or Todd McFarlane, or I mean, you can see the potential is there if you have a large audience. But I'm here to show you the potential is there, even if you don't have a large audience.
Right.
But you got to make something really good that people really want. That people will pay you $200 to $300 for a collectible figure. Because if they didn't love the IP, they're not giving you $300 for a figure, right?
Yep.
Anyway. All right. Well, thank you for coming, Professor Murph.
Yeah, guys, appreciate it.
Got the Indiegogo. It is pinned in the chat. It's also in the description below. That's your store. Are you going to come to FNC? Bring anything to FNC?
Yeah, I tried to do that with the War Diary, and it was very hard to get my audience to go over to another platform. I think there's a convenience factor when people are already have their credit card and they're locked in on it. It's so much easier to get them to just back on the same platform. Now, I am shadow banned on Indiegogo. You cannot, if you type War Party, it does not come up. You have to have the link.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, I know. I tried to get some images.
So it's unfortunate, but at the same time, it still makes the most money for me. So I'm not opposed to going to another platform. I think FMC is great the way it's laid out. I think Luke's done an amazing job with it. It looks incredible. It's very intuitive. It's great. But you got to be able to get your audience to go over somewhere else, and that's easier said than done sometimes. So I haven't decided yet on the next campaign.
People are probably warming to it. I think people are starting to warm to it more often. So
yeah, it's growing.
Maybe try again.
I'm definitely not opposed to it down the line. For the next one, I'm not sure yet, but if I get shadow banned again on another campaign, then that pretty much I would say, okay, you're not welcome here.
Right.
It's tricky. I mean, sometimes we have to play within. I don't want to say the enemy's territory, but you kind of have to. You can't totally just walk off and do your own thing with regards to everything. You have to work within the system that exists, even though you don't like that system sometimes. Because ultimately it's about what's going to make me the most money, what's going to get the most eyeballs on it. And it's why we try to sell these things for movies and TV. Most people are never going to read a comic book. They're just not. They don't care what it's about. There's a mass group of people out there that will never crack a comic book. So if you want your IP to be seen by a broad audience, you got to think about other media. You got to think about TV. You got to think about animation. You got to think about movies. You have to, And there's nothing wrong with comics. Comics are great. I love them, and I will always love them. But you got to have your eye on other things.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, most IPs will never get there. You know, I mean, most IPs never make it to TV or to film. But you got to try, right?
Well, maybe that's changing. Maybe that's changing. I know several animation projects from IPs that you wouldn't think be able to do animation. So animation is becoming cheaper. It's becoming more affordable.
Yeah, definitely.
And so who knows? Who knows? We're getting there. I mean, that the intro trailer for Star Blades. I mean, that shows the potential.
Right.
You know, of what's possible.
Mm-hmm.
That could have come out of Bandai. You know, back in the day.
That was a great looking trailer.
Yep. Too bad the product wasn't quite there. But,
yeah, I didn't back it, so I don't know. I didn't read it, but I mean, the art looked amazing.
It has
Kyle's
issues.
very talented. Very talented guy.
Very talented. I hope he returns to it someday. I did a whole entire episode on that. Anyway. All right. Well, thank you for coming, Mr. Professor Murph, and check that out. Check those links out, and we will see you next time on What's Next. Actually, in a couple days' time, Cryptids and Conspiracies. We're doing Smithsonian. Is it a museum? The answer may surprise you, or maybe not. Anyway, but that's coming on Cryptids and Conspiracies. That's going to be Saturday night at 7:00. What's on Beer 30 tomorrow, Wookie?
We're going to be talking about Social Security and if it's a Ponzi scheme or not.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Anyway,
we're going to be stepping into some serious waters.
You're not going to get any votes with that one.
No.
Probably not. Anyway.
All right, guys.
Thank you for
I
coming.
appreciate it.
We'll see you next time. So, no problem.
Thanks, Cooper.
Follow
Thanks,
White
Wookie.
Rabbit.
Yeah.
Bye, everybody.
It's nice meeting you, Professor. Have a
You
good
too,
one.
man.
Thank you.